As a High Court judge of many years standing, is probably well attuned to be able to sort out the bullshit factor. As chair of the Royal Commission, he and his colleagues sat through hundreds of hours of submissions, read countless hundreds more of them, and then visited a number of cities overseas, and then wrote a very excellent, insightful and comprehensive report. So, Peter, after doing all that, your sense of why we're doing this and why we need to do it was what?
Well, thank you, Rod, and good evening, everybody, both here and away from here. The reason why the Supercity has come about, it's been touched upon. It's because Auckland could not agree. The primary reason is that Auckland could not agree on important issues for the future of Auckland. And after consulting very widely and hearing from a wide range of people, we decided that the best solution to that was amalgamation of the bodies in Auckland at the moment and one council for Auckland with one mayor to speak for Auckland. I mean, the reason why it hasn't worked in the past is because mayors, the job of a mayor and the job of a council is to look after their own area. So very properly that's what they do. And understandably, when it comes to issues that go beyond their particular area, difficulties can be encountered in reaching agreement. Bob touched on this right at the beginning, and this was the problem that was identified to us time and time again by people who made submissions to us. The other thing that became very clear to us was that Auckland, and Ron has touched on this, if New Zealand is to succeed, Auckland must succeed. Auckland has such a high proportion of New Zealand's population, it's so important to the rest of New Zealand that it is essential for the future of all of us, in social terms, in environmental terms, in cultural terms, in economic terms. It's important that Auckland should succeed. And in order to succeed, we must compete with other large cities in the world. Many writers on urban issues over the last few years have identified cities as the important elements of the world rather than countries. It is cities who attract the brightest and best people. It is cities that provide the social milieu, the environmental attractions, the cultural zing and zest that make a place attractive to other people to come and live, to set up their businesses, to take part in the activities of the city. So all these elements that I've mentioned were emphasized to us and were behind the reasons why we made the recommendations that we did. Now, a big part of this, of course, was to make Auckland function better as an entity. The mayor's going to be a very important person. We envisaged the mayor enunciating a vision for Auckland that would capture the minds and hearts of the electors, and in the way that that the mayors of London have, for example, and in the way that Bob has, if I may take an example, out in Waitakere. So we envisaged the mayor having a vision which would be shared with the people of Auckland. He or she would be elected on the basis of that vision and would have the opportunity to implement it, assisted by various additional powers that we recommended should be given to the mayor. We didn't forget, and I hope no one thinks that we forgot, the enormous importance of local issues, the enormous importance of people and what went on in their local communities, and we attempted to achieve this balance in the proposals that we put forward. And And I wonder how many of you here realise that the proposal we put forward is something that is actually a little bit different to anything else in the world at the moment. One council with 2 tiers of elected representatives. All the elected representatives of Auckland, both at the regional level and at the local level, are Auckland councillors. They are all responsible for making Auckland work. The local councillors, of course, have special local responsibilities. We proposed, and I hope it will happen, a web of ways in which communication would occur right from people in their communities up to the Auckland Council. And if you care to look at the report, you can see this web. We also proposed a similar web of communication between Auckland and the government. Much of this, there's been some harsh things said about what the government has done, but the essentials of what we proposed have been implemented. There are a few things that I'm personally sad, have not been implemented, but even if we look at the question of the local powers, the philosophy behind our second level local councils, as we call them, local boards as the government calls them, that philosophy is set out in the statute. The idea of delegating to the local councils, to the local boards, all those powers, all those functions that should be undertaken at the local level is set out in the statute. And it should happen. Now, there is one thing that is needed to ensure that it will happen, that this vision we had for Auckland, that it will happen, and that is that Aucklanders get behind it. There's no point now in saying, well, I would have liked to have seen something else, because we're not going to see anything else. This is what we've got. And if everybody gets behind it, I'm sure it will work. As Ron said, our report is there as a blueprint in respect of those matters that so far haven't been implemented in statute. And the reason for a lot of that, of course, is that it's going to be the council that implements it. It's going to be the local councils and the Auckland Council that implement these things. And it's over to you people to make sure that they do. And you'll have the opportunity to do so. I think there's going to be a great IT system set up that will enable you to talk to the council and to engage with the council through the internet, and I hope that there will be meetings where you'll be able to do so too. So that's it. We've got to have a positive approach to this. The future of Auckland depends on the positiveness of Aucklanders.
Thank you very much indeed.